AI agents are everywhere, automating tasks and making decisions at machine speed. But agents make mistakes. Just one rogue agent can do big damage before you even notice. Rubrik Agent Cloud is the only platform that helps you monitor agents, set guardrails, and rewind mistakes, so you can unleash agents, not risk. Accelerate your AI transformation at Rubrik.com. That's RUBRIK.com.
Welcome to the Overcomers Overcoming podcast series, where we profile people who have encountered and overcome various life topics. I'm Ron Cooper, founder of the Cooper Culture, along with my wife and business partner, Marty. We are the Cooper Culture, and we are sponsoring this podcast series. Today, we are profiling Brian and Erin Harrigan, who, you will learn, had what some people may think is a fairly substantial income, but she lost her job, and their income, her income, was lost, but not too uncommon of some families and lifestyle that to which they have become accustomed. Their spending continued, and I think the attitude was that we'll somehow make this, but the expenses continued to mount, exceeded their income, and it wasn't until they each learned the reality that you must be on a budget. There was a point in their life where there was enough money coming in that they could pretty well freely spend on whatever it is they chose to, and the word budget was just not known at the time, and maybe to a degree was unnecessary, but they had to discipline themselves to live on a budget, and it became a point of stress to their marriage. But Marty, what was your take from this?
Ron, I want to emphasize the point of stress. Financial issues do that. I want to let you hear or listen to Brian and Erin as they talk about the stress and how they handle the stress. But then at the end, they learn how to say to each other, we're in this together.
And you'll learn that there were two different personalities, learning styles, spending styles, that they had to come together. They did, and they have a story that's inspirational to many people. Their marriage survived it. They are now debt-free, and they made it through a multi-year period of financial stress that sometimes results in separation, divorce, whatever comes from that. The two of them decided to work this out, work it together, and they worked through the stresses. Listen very carefully with them, and you will gain a lot of insights from their situation, as Marty and I did. So let's learn together.
Brian and Erin, it is good to have you with us, and thank you for taking the time to join us on the Overcomers Overcoming podcast series. It's good to have you with us.
Thank you so much. We're excited to be here.
Thank you.
Brian and Erin, I know only a little bit about your situation, but it's my understanding that you have each overcome or possibly are still in the process of overcoming a pretty substantial life situation regarding a financial situation. Is that a good start so far?
Yeah, most definitely. Erin and I made some really good financial decisions within our lifetime, and that continued for the majority of the time that we've been married. However, with most people, there are ebbs and flows. And with those ebbs and flows, you hope that it's, much more in the stable and not real high, not real low, but you try to make sure that you don't get into those low periods. However, we did run into one of those types of periods where we basically it came to a real point where monthly we were scraping by, and it was a situation that you don't see it coming. And I think for a lot of people this happens, and it's a gradual type of situation, and you think you're going to be fine, but then all it takes is a catalyst, an event that will kind of start the process of going down that road in reference to it going bad. I don't know if you think the same thing or not.
Brian, tell me if I'm interpreting this correctly. It sounds like you're saying in hindsight, you and Erin were out of financial balance. Would that be a correct interpretation?
Yes, sir, most definitely.
And the situation that caused you to hit a rock bottom was, it was unforecast, it sounds as if. However, in hindsight, if you were in financial balance, do you think you could have weathered whatever that storm was that came up on you?
Go ahead.
Yeah, so really what the catalyst was me losing my job, but I think the bigger symptom of the problem, is the advice that a mentor of mine gave me when we were in the midst of the valley, which was, it's not about what you make, it's what you spend. And as Brian said, we had made really good financial decisions up until this point. The problem is, in living a dual income life, plus an additional business that I had, when I lost my job in 2012, actually, today is November 12th, 8 years ago today, oh my gosh, I didn't even realize that. 8 years ago today, I was blindsided, let go from a job where I was a very high performer. I was making a significant salary. I did not see this coming. And the fatal mistake that I believe that we made, it wasn't fatal because we've recovered. The mistake that we made is we did not change our lifestyle. So we continued to spend while we had not replaced that level of income. And that went on for 4 years until we sought help and attended Financial Peace University. So we continued to live at that level, I would say really because we just didn't want people to know, and we needed to just keep going in that vein. But yes, had we been, I think we thought we were financially stable. I think had we been in balance and on the same page, and had we made different decisions to scale back our lifestyle, and I think not worried about what other people would think, we definitely could have come through that for sure without going through the valley. But I believe the valley was a tremendous lesson that God taught us, which brought us closer together and changed the legacy of our family.
Well, I can tell you, Brian and Erin, Marty and I have been through a financial challenge, 15 months of unemployment, and we too grew stronger because of that. I will tell you that I hope I graduated all right from that, such that we never have to go through it again. But as with you two, you learned from that. Now, I'm curious, you continued your spending habits or your lifestyle in spite of the fact that, Erin, you no longer had your income. In hindsight, are the two of you, would you say, big spenders kind of thing?
No, I don't think it was big spending. It was more routine spending, I guess is what I would call it, in the sense that
well, I think it was routine based on the level of income that we had.
Correct, right. Yes. The other situation, or not situation, is we bought a house in 2008 that we could afford at that point in time, but of course, soon as Erin's income left, that became the biggest albatross for us, because when you've bought a house at a substantial, mid to six-figure price, that kind of loss in income, and the house with two young daughters becomes a very big deal. And that's where we quickly found out, for the most part, that we needed to make sure we were able to secure that. However, as Erin has indicated, when you feel secure that you're still able to do that, you still do the other things, that putting things on a credit card, okay? And that's the other thing that you learn quickly, that you're making that mistake, okay? And you think that you'll be able to pay those credit cards off soon as things get better, and it's always going to be down the line. Well, if things don't get better or for a longer period of time, that just puts you deeper and that much deeper into that hole.
Yeah, and I would just add to that, too. I think our routine spending, again, at the level of income that we had, we didn't want to give that up. And I think we didn't want to give that up because we sort of felt like that was our security blanket. So the business that I had started in 2010, by the time I got let go from my job, had only replaced about 2/3, but had always been the extra. It had always sort of been this extra slush, if you will. And so we didn't want to give up what we were spending. And I would say because of our income at the time, we really, I mean, we always paid everything on time. We didn't carry debt, but we just didn't really know. Like, we didn't think about going to the grocery store. We didn't think about, buying stuff for the kids or buying stuff for us because we always had that money. And so we just didn't change that habit. And I think the core of that, what we learned through Financial Peace University, is that, there's a quiz that they have you take to see, like, who's the nerd who keeps track of all the numbers and who's the free spirit. And surprisingly, I am the nerd, and Brian is the free spirit. So just like you say, Marty, you don't want Ron to go to the grocery store with you because he's going to analyze everything. I always joke with love that my husband could literally live in Europe because he loves to go to the grocery store every day without a list. And so that was really, really, like, to pull back on that was really hard. So I think he was more of the free spender, but we both just kind of ignored the problem in as much as we could, and we wanted to keep it as normal for the kids. So rather than saying no, we just kept spending.
Okay, let me take you back mentally to the house that you had. If I'm interpreting correctly, you, I'm going to say, easily qualified, or you qualified for the house, but it took the dual income to qualify. And would I be correct in thinking that the possibility that one of you could lose an income was never thought of? It was never thought about as even a possibility. Would that be a correct interpretation?
Well, we qualified for the house on my income. So Brian's income was always kind of felt like extra. We most certainly did not expect that my job would be lost, especially because my job was a sales job and I was more than exceeding my number. But the company itself wanted to go in a different direction. I was having a great year, but the company itself wasn't, and they made some different decisions that didn't include me, and that blindsided us completely. So, yes, without my income, we definitely could not carry the mortgage.
Right. That's where the struggle definitely began. But that struggle woke us up as well.
Yeah.
Sure. No, I can definitely appreciate that. Now, you went on for a period of time with maybe a thought somehow, some way, all of this will work out, but you didn't. It sounds as if you didn't scale back your spending a whole lot, but you accumulated an amount of debt until what? The reality of all this came to a point? Is that maybe what happened?
Well, it was the meeting with the tax accountant.
Yeah, at that point in time, because we had gone into her 401k to assist us, and that, of course, was a major, major mistake at that point in time, and then not really checking out what the penalties were going to be in reference to doing that. We ended up with a hefty tax bill the following year, which, of course, just, again, compounded everything that was going on.
I can certainly appreciate what you're saying there, Brian. And so I'm curious, between the two of you, was it one of you that said that, hey, we've got to just stop what we're doing and take total stock of life, or at what point or how did you come to the what may be termed a stark reality that we cannot exist the way we're going?
Well, I think there were a lot of arguments and a lot of, we'll find a way to work this out. We went to the accountant in 2015, and she gave us the reality of the giant tax bill. So going into this, we really didn't have credit card debt, but because we didn't want to owe the IRS, we put all of that tax on 2 credit cards, which then we kept getting into a hole and into a hole. So in January of 2016, I was going to church at the time, Brian was not, and I came home from church and said, there's this class called Financial Peace University, and I think we should take it. And I'm pretty sure you said no, because you were like, I got this. And then we went to the first class, and I think where it hit home was when we did that first budget.
The budget is the key. That's, of course, that's what, in essence, more or less has saved us.
Okay, great.
Right.
Now, curious about your marriage. Was there, and you admittedly had a lot of arguments, was there a point that your marriage was just barely together, or did the two of you work together saying that, hey, together we will overcome?
I don't think it ever got bleak or where we were talking divorce or anything like that, but there was just a constant battle and argument. And, of course, with her losing the job, she felt guilty for the income, and that defensiveness, of course, led into any time of questions were asked, she got more and more defensive. But, of course, I, on the other hand, also got defensive because we couldn't do what we were normally had been doing.
Yeah, and I think that what I remember from that first budget meeting when we discovered that we were spending about $2,000 more than we were actually bringing in, is that it felt like acid. I remember we were sitting in your office, and I remember I reached out to touch your arm to say, okay, now we know this, how are we going to move forward together? And your response was, don't touch me. And it was like acid. But it was that moment that I think we realized together, okay, we're going to take this class and we're going to find a way through this. I don't think we said that out loud, but I think we knew that the only way out was through.
We were looking.
All right, so Brian, you were the reluctant participant in this financial university, and it was about Erin's persuasion, it sounds like, that got you there. But once the two of you saw various aspects of the financially, I'm going to use the term financial equation, the two of you came to an agreement that, yep, we've got to restructure our finances. Am I hearing you correctly?
Yes, most definitely. That is, as soon as we got in and you really delve deep into the details and you see the numbers, it's hard not to face reality at that moment in time. You can keep doing what it is that you're doing and banging your head up against the wall thinking some miracle is going to happen, but that's not really what's going to happen in the sense of, overnight this is going to go away. You've put yourself in this position, and you're the ones that have to get yourself out.
Yeah.
Now, we're at, 2015, approximately that time frame? I remember correctly?
So that was February 2016.
2016. And so you went through the financial class, and it sounds as if maybe it had accumulated some substantial debt, and you're on the road to financial recovery. Is that a pretty good picture of how you were?
Yeah, so first, after really quantifying it and understanding where the money was going, then made the decision that it was time for me to go find something that would pay me more income, which happened in April 2016. And then because it was a lot of fine big debt, but there were also little debts, like $600 to the accountant or $100 to the lawnmower repair guy. So that's when I did what Dave Ramsey said, and I started going around my house and figuring out what I could sell on online yard sale just to pay the small debts to start to get us some momentum, and that's really where everything started.
Yep. Now, I can imagine that was emotionally devastating for one or both of you. Is that how things were?
Yeah, most definitely. To see her have to sell off things, I mean, now granted, she did it with zest and, I mean, outright, as they say, the antelope.
The gazelle intensity.
The gazelle, that's what it is, the gazelle intensity. But it is very tough to swallow when you start to see, but these are, and that's another thing that you come to realize. The possessions, that's all that they are, and we accumulate stuff. That's all it is. So, but it's still, as you've indicated, it was still difficult to watch and go through.
So I think for Brian it was hard to watch, and for our younger daughter, Cameron, who was still at home, to watch things that you've grown up seeing on the walls or seeing these decorations, like to see that stuff go out of the house, I think was hard for her. I think it was hard for Brian in the sense of like, oh my gosh, this is what it's come to, and, we're like 48 years old, and how did we get here? And then for me, I embraced it, and I was like, oh yeah, I'm selling all this stuff. So then it sort of became this quest for me, like how much money can I really make by selling stuff so that I can start to really, chunk away at this debt.
Sure. Now, there was, in spite of, I say in spite, you each have a little bit different personalities going into this. Brian, I'm guessing at this point you are totally convinced that everything about this course, albeit you went to it reluctantly, are you, let's say, a full-fledged participant at this point?
I think I started to buy into it at that point in time as things, even though I didn't like to see things leaving and going through that, as you start to pay things off, that's a quick eye opener, okay? And the snowball effect that you get, from the Dave Ramsey course, you start to see that, okay, this is a possibility, okay? Or at least this is the beginnings of the possibility. And so there is some hope that did come out of that.
Okay, now I'm picturing that there was a bit of a mental discipline that through the Dave Ramsey course that you developed, and the two of you eventually, however long that took, became totally unified in the discipline, the structure, the approach you needed to take to get on the road to financial recovery. Is that pretty much how it happened?
Well, my side of it is, I don't know that we were ever 100% on that same page, because I think from Brian's perspective, he thought, well, all we have to do is sell this house, which is true, except that like we couldn't, it wouldn't sell. We had it on the market 3 times. And my perspective is, we need to start cutting back. So it was hard, I think, for him to give up some of the things that he wanted, like to go golfing or whatever. So I think there was agreement that we needed to do these things, but I was far more gung-ho, and he was more reluctant.
Yes, I would agree with that, yes.
Now, are you, would you each say you are financially recovered from that period of time, or are you still recovering? In other words, I'm trying to get our listeners a sense of just how long you were in this financial drought.
Yeah.
So we have financially recovered. We are pretty much debt-free.
Well, we really are. I mean, it took us, from the time we started Financial Peace to February 2016, we paid off our last debt, which was my car, in April of 2019. So 3 years, which at the beginning, you're going, I can't even imagine, like, you want me to think 3 years ahead from now, but I'm just in this, I'm sloshing through this swamp of debt. But 3 years happens really, really fast. So we have recovered. We're out of debt. Between our daughter's 529 and us being debt-free, we're able to pay cash for college. We eventually sold the house in 2018. Severely downsized, got rid of more stuff. So, yeah.
Selling the house was part of the plan, but it was a huge part of the plan. And the girls, as much as the girls wanted us to continue to stay there and live in that house for their family tradition atmosphere, Erin and I knew that was the biggest piece, that once we could get out from there, the snowball effect was really going to take hold, and it did. So from whatever that was, July of 2018 through April of 2019, we really we pushed it as hard as we possibly could at that point in time, and were able to become debt-free.
Yeah.
Great. Now, I'm curious about your children. Were they devastated because of all of this? Were they supportive? How did you work through any emotions that they were possibly experiencing?
Well, our oldest at the time when all of this started was a year out of high school, and she had moved out and was living at her boyfriend's parents' house. So she wasn't there for the day-to-day. So she didn't have to go from, 180 degrees from I can get what I need and I don't ever have to worry about mom and dad saying no, to the word budget. And I remember Cameron, who was a sophomore in high school at the time, saying, if I never hear the word budget again, like, it will be too soon. I can't stand the word budget, because then we had to start saying no to things. So she had to live through it. So it was hard for her.
She took the brunt of it for the kids. Yep.
Sure. Marty and I know that one of the leading indicators of marital stress is finances. I'm curious, in hindsight, Brian and Erin, now that you have been through what you've been through, we know that one of the characteristics of people today are many people are in various phases of financial struggle. Based on what you have been through and what you've learned, if a person a couple were to say that, I'm not sure if we're in financial balance or not, based on what you've been through, what you've learned through the Dave Ramsey course, do you think you could help a couple determine if they're right on the edge of being high risk financially?
Yeah, I think we have the experience and have made the mistakes and learned from the mistakes and gotten through the mistakes to the point where most definitely we could definitely advise any couple out there, depending upon their situation, at least a direction and or possible solutions to follow.
Yeah, and we believe in that so much that, so I'm finishing up my financial peace coaching class because I know there are families out there that need that. I mean, this has completely changed the legacy of our family. Our younger daughter, who, had the brunt of it, now she's a junior in college. She has a mutual fund. She's saving for when she graduates so she can move to New York and pursue her theater career. That just wouldn't have happened if we hadn't gone through this. And I think through all of it, it's not just the financial piece. It's, our journey with God. I mean,
that too. Yep.
That was not really consistent in all of it until.
Now, I want to ask you about your faith. Are you both of, let's say, equal strength of faith? Or Dave, were you a little ahead of or behind? I said Dave, Brian. Were you a little bit ahead of or behind Erin? Just curious about how your faith worked through all of this?
I'm probably a little bit behind her. You know, I have a background that, let's just say, I look at things and challenge things, look at things in a challenging way and wonder why they happen. So that's something that, you know, when it comes to faith and accepting faith, was sometimes difficult for me. But in turn, I've gone to church, I've read the Bible, and slowly I have come much more to accept what I've learned through those processes.
Well, congratulations, Brian. That's you, I would say, have maybe made the very best of what is a bad situation, but sounds as if you have learned through it. And as I mentioned earlier in the conversation, Marty and I have been through some struggles, and we too have learned through it. And so in a sense, I'm glad we went through it, but I'm okay to move on beyond that.
Yes. It very much, it strengthens the relationship, both of the marriage and the family, and you have to go through it.
Right. I have a question. You know, you talked about you would get upset with each other and you had tense moments and stuff like that. At what point did you two decide that these tense moments, we've got to stop them because it's not helping us, and, you know, just be more on line of, I'm not going to say anything that will aggravate, or, you know, when did you reach that point? Because there are people that will listen to this podcast and go, we can't get past being upset with each other. So what was your decision, and when did you make it to say, we're not going to be upset, we're not going to accuse, we're not going to yell, we're not going to get in an argument?
I don't think it was a one-time decision. I think it's a process where you have to, unfortunately, go through those emotions at the beginning of the event, or multiple events, whatever it is that's caused you to get to where you are. But you do reach a point, a bottom, and that's exact, as you've indicated, whether it's internally or verbally, you know, saying it to each other, one way or the other, you do accept that you're in this together. You have to just bear down, and you're going to get this done at minimally for your own sake, for your kids' sake, and for your marriage sake. Okay.
Right.
However, that you're able to verbalize that or internalize that, whatever works for, you know, the specific individuals, you have to get to that point, though. I think you have to get to a bottom, okay? That bottom, I think, for us was probably a time before we knew that, I guess, the last time before we had to sell put the house back up, because we knew we had to get out of that house. That was going to be the catalyst for us at that moment in time. And knowing that, you accept it, and you know that you're going to stop blaming each other for what it is, no matter what's gotten you to that point, because if you don't, it's just that you're going to continue to cause strife and negativity, which does you no good.
Yeah, and I think like Brian said, I don't think it was a one-time thing. I think we started that class in February. We started to pay some little things, and every time we would pay something else and we'd get a little bit further, we'd kind of look at each other and say, okay, we can do this. And then when something would come up, you know, where we seemed to take 10 steps back, I think one of us would say, okay, we're in this together, right? And the other one would say, yep, okay. So it's kind of that agreement to move forward at every step of the process. And trust me, when we had that budget meeting, like I said, that was like acid. I mean, I get it. I get people that feel like, I just don't know that I can overcome this. And I think that class, not just learning the principles, but being in the community of people, made a difference.
Good. Thank you.
That's you two are a major positive example in this context, because we know of several couples that they have taken financial struggles in the wrong direction, and in some cases did not recover. But let's turn it to today. Brian, do I understand correctly? You are a police officer?
I used to be. I was in law enforcement in Tucson, Arizona.
All right. Well, thank you for serving our country in that capacity, and you were on the pointy edge. And but you have a job now where that you feel stable. And
I do. I work for the federal government. So
okay.
My job now is very stable, and it's continued to grow and very rewarding.
And Erin, you are an entrepreneur with one or two businesses. Am I thinking correctly there?
Yeah. So had my business when I lost my job, my wellness business, my network marketing business. When we made the decision for me to go back to work, I was able to find a consulting opportunity. So I do some consulting in the biotech industry, which at first provided just a minimum, but then over time, based on the business that I was able to bring in and deliver, we significantly changed our financial situation with, both of those businesses. So my income fluctuates, but the beauty of having the budget and the beauty of now knowing where every dollar goes, I know exactly how much money I need to contribute to our budget. So that gives me leeway in months that I make more. We've been able to shove that into, an emergency fund. So Brian has the stable part of the income, whereas mine, although I have multiple sources, it changes every month. So we just try to leverage, now that we don't have the money going out to debt, we have the freedom to be able to put that money into our emergency fund or savings, so that in the months where my income may be down, we have that cushion.
That's great. Erin, would you want to explain to our listeners what businesses you have? We certainly want to do what we can to make that known to people who may have a need for what you have.
Yeah, absolutely. So my main business is a coaching and speaking business, and I coach and help entrepreneurs bridge faith and business. So what are the faith foundations? How can they incorporate God into their business, whether that's overtly or more covertly, but building a foundation of faith for their business. So I do that through personalized coaching, courses. I wrote a book, I have a podcast, and I do all of those things. And then most recently, I just took a role as a business consultant to help small businesses with the Small Business Development Center out of St. Mary's. So again, still working with businesses, and the reason I'm pursuing the financial peace coaching is because I think, as we said, we have a heart for helping families overcome the financial burdens, and so I'm excited to incorporate that coaching into it.
Well, that's great, Brian and Erin. Referring to Scripture, I know that 2 Corinthians 1:6, I'm going to give you a very transliterative paraphrase of that, but our Lord says that I'm going to allow you to go through some trials, but as you go through these trials, you will be strengthened because of it. But in turn, what I want you to do is to help somebody else who's going through a similar trial. And I think you're both doing that right now, it sounds.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, we want our hindsight to be others' foresight, and to pay it forward to help other families know that it's possible to live within your means and to have that level of financial freedom, really with God at the center of it.
Yep. Well, you're a great inspiration, Brian and Erin, to many people who are going through financial struggles. And you went through several years of this and hit a bottom. And there was you explained that there was some emotional devastation of this, but you stayed together, albeit there were some tough times. And maybe you would say that you're better because of it, but very possibly you would also say that hope we don't have to go through this again.
Yeah, for sure.
Most definitely.
If we can help other people not go through this, we want to be able to do that.
Yes, we would definitely enjoy that side of it.
Yes. Well, Brian and Erin, thank you so much for being very vulnerable about your situation. And you are certainly an inspiration to a lot of people. And, yes, for the experience that we've been through, we will pass it forward and help others that may be going through similar struggles with the possibility that we can help them avoid some of the financial struggles we have been through.
Yes, sir. Yep.
Well, thank you each, and we hope that you continue your success, and thank you for your outreach to help other people.
Thank you both.
Thank you.
Our congratulations to Brian and Erin for overcoming some pretty substantial financial challenges. Ended up being a major lifestyle change. They had grown accustomed to living a lifestyle that was commensurate with the income, and they have gone through some fairly substantial challenges, but as we learned, they grew together from this, and as some of us would say, I learned through the trial. I just hope we don't have to go through the trial again. You heard Erin say that one of her children said, I just hate the word budget, and what that frequently means is I may not be able to get what I need, what I want, really more than what I want, rather than what I need, because the income won't support that. But there is a financial discipline that we all need. Are you living a life that's out of financial balance? And if you are, I want to give you my strongest encouragement to contact us, the Cooper Culture. You can contact Erin and let us coach you through different situations. We have each learned from life experience what it is to live in a financial balance without being haughty, no pretense whatever. I will tell you that Marty and I are at a state in our life where we are living by choices. We have the income that we want to give us the choice of what we want to do. We are doing this podcast series because we choose to do this. And we have largely lived a life of financial balance. Yes, there was a period of 15 months of unemployment where on paper we didn't have the money to make things exist, but everything worked out. Brian and Erin have learned through this that they have their finances in balance now, albeit one is a steady income, the other fluctuates more, but they know just what they can do and what they need to do to live a life in financial balance. So if you can benefit from, and I believe everybody can benefit from coaching. Marty and I, through the Cooper Culture, are life performance coaches where we help people live to their full potential. Erin can help coach you through starting a business, a faith-based business, and because of their life experience with financial learning, she too can help you live a life that is in financial balance. So we want to do everything we can to encourage you to stay together. We know the difficulty of finances and the stress that is on a relationship, even if you're not married, the relationship, if you are married, we know that there can be extreme challenges because of the stress brought about from finances. We can work through it. We're together. And when we set our minds on working together, there may be sacrifices that we have to make, but together we'll do whatever is required to make it through a challenge, because as many coaches would say, sports coaches, you do what you need to do on the practice field such that you can experience the exhilaration of having won the championship. That's a great analogy of having worked through financial challenges, maybe marital challenges, anything that your life has put you in that you need to overcome. We want to help you experience the satisfaction, the profound satisfaction of making it through, having achieved on the other side the victory that you're looking for. And just know that when you develop the discipline required to do whatever it is to achieve the outcome, when you dedicate yourself to do that, and you establish a relationship with those who love you and will do everything they can to support you through those difficult times, you will make it. When you're going through the challenges, you will wonder if you're going to make it. You'll wonder if you have another breath, so to speak. You'll wonder if you have any more energy to persevere. We hope that with the relationships that can be developed and the encouragement that you can get through others who care about you, you will make it. And we want to experience the triumph with you. Call us, Erin or me, and let us know how we can help you. We want to reach out to you. God bless you, and we hope to have the opportunity to interact with you. If you have overcome a challenge similar to what Brian and Erin overcame, let us know. We want to share with you and others just how you overcame. We look forward to being with you. Let's continue the dialogue.